Jesus said female blessing. If that's not how this video starts, I don't know how
They call me childish. They call me the Holy Ghost, son of the Most Father. They don't know me.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tash, aka ZIMbarbieAN, and this is a safe space on the internet where we like to converse about different topics. I like how every time I'm doing it, I'm getting better at saying that. Okay, so I'm gonna start with introductions, and I'll start with you.
What up? Hi, my name is Godfrey, also known as Godfrey.
What do you mean?
What a cool guy.
No, guys, you know, that was just a bit of an LOL moment. Yeah, I'm a creative artist in summary. I do a lot of creative things through media, marketing, entertainment. Yeah.
Cool. And yourself?
I'm Andre, but you guys should call me Dre. So I'm actually a YouTuber. Stop hating on the boy.
What do we call you, Andre?
I shoot school related, like education was and pranks also. So.
Cool. And yourself?
My name is Dennis. I'm a YouTuber.
Inside joke.
Without any YouTube videos, but you know what I mean.
Well, maybe by the time this comes out, you might have a YouTube.
No, I'm a YouTuber. You should go and check out my channel. I'm not really sure what it's going to be called, but it's going to be really dope. Some really nice interviews in there. In fact, I want to take this time out to put out a
justification for let's put the MPs to the side with the 40,000 and talk about the 400,000 to the cabinet ministers.
Yeah,
is there any justification for that, or is it just completely bonkers?
there's a middle ground there, so I wouldn't want to go far extremes on there, and I don't want to sound like I'm sanitizing it.
Yeah,
because I'm really against.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you guys for being on my channel. Thank you guys for being on my panel and taking the time out on this Friday morning. I had people coming in here at 8 a.m. like I pay them. Okay. Thank you guys really for being on the panel. The topic for today is modern masculinity. So I'm going to start with Godfrey.
Hectic.
Why? I
No,
haven't even said anything
I'm being
yet.
dramatic. I'm being dramatic.
Okay, so Godfrey, from your perspective, what do you think it means to be a man?
Yo, what it means to be a man. Yes, that's
Loaded.
it's loaded. And also I'm just trying to think of what angle to take that from. But I think to be a man is to be present, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be strong. And I say that very loosely because strong can mean so many things. Like you can be strong emotionally, you can be strong physically, to be protective, to preside
Over?
like have dominion, like have over over offices, over people.
Which people?
What kind of people?
So you can preside over a family, you can preside over a team at work or in church or at
So
school.
men are supposed to be in charge at work.
No, like it's part of it. It's part of it. Yeah.
No, Dennis, you tell us.
Yeah.
Someone else is getting in trouble, not me today.
No, yeah. Like I mean, presiding is. I think there's a lot to do with being a man. Like
Really? Do you think that that's an essential element of what it means to be a man?
to an extent, yes. Yeah, like, and so this is from my Christian understanding, right? Like,
Okay.
from the very first man, he presided over the first creation. He presided over the animals. He presided over the land, and presided over the woman as well.
I'm saying that.
What you're not gonna do is whisper that.
The mic can't pick that up.
No, but guys, like I know I'm saying that I did say I'm saying it with caution, but presiding. I don't know if president is the right word. President, not precedent. But yeah, like it's part of being a man. Part of. Not the only thing, not the sole thing, and not limited to being a man, but definitely it is part of. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of see where you're going with it. I was just trying to trap you a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of... Okay, Dennis. What does it mean to be a man from your perspective?
I mean, it's a lot of different things to a lot of different people, for sure. I think for me, again, in the context of where you're being a man, if you're being a man in your home, it's doing whatever it is that you're expected to do in that home, right? So if you are, which is most people, if you're with someone that expects that to be providing, professing, and what's the last one?
Provide.
Profess.
Protect.
Yeah. Right, yeah. If those are the things that, you know, someone expects of you as a man,
Right.
then that's what it takes to be a man in your home.
Wait, so from what I'm hearing, like in terms of your definition, being a man is in terms of how other people look at you. Like if you intrinsically, outside of like what other people would be expecting you to be in the home or in the office or whatever, like you as a person, when you are like, you know, I'm a man, like what does that look like?
I'm a man already, bro. Like,
is it genetic?
it's genetic. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I genetic and I guess decision, right? Like whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that is what, on a very basic level, it is. But I think what it takes to be a man to other people would be dependent on what that is. And that could be to my little brother or to my mom or to whatever it is.
Like it's fluid.
I feel like we're nodding to Pinterest quotes.
Wow.
Like if we're
You beg to differ.
No way you go.
no, but the thing is, when people say there's a difference between being a male and being a man, say for example, like as a person intrinsically, what does that mean?
So,
I guess like being like the way it differs is like being a man and a male. Being a man, you have more responsibility to take.
Okay. So does it
Doesn't
come down
matter.
to responsibility?
Responsibilities and
yeah, I think that's one of the bigger facets of it. Like, so you can get a boy or a minor who is a male, but isn't necessarily defined as a man yet because they have less responsibilities, they're less mature, perhaps also not as wise and not as insightful on various world things or real life problems, etc. So I think manhood also, or being a man, has a lot to do with how responsible you are or how many responsibilities you have.
Like
It's
what
also
is
part of it.
what is that? Like what are the responsibilities you
I was
speak
about to
of?
say, like, it feels like there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
Quite true, actually.
No, but it is.
No, it doesn't have to be though, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the full scope of things that are included in being a man will range from like the protection, provision, whatever, right? And then it will go as far as, you know, like the being strong that you were talking about, etc. And that's a lot in the totality for one person to be like to be all those things, right? And more often than not, you just need to be the things that are required in that setting. Because I think a lot of the pressure that comes with the increased suicide rates or depression level rates in men is because of that pressure, and very often for things that are not actually even like critical to you. So it's like, oh, you have to have money, right? And it's like, okay, cool, you have to have money, but like, you have to have money for what specifically? Are we just saying you have to have money for your family? Or so I think that it matters for the definition of what being a man is to be under a little bit more control.
Okay, but can I add this though, that pressure in itself isn't bad. It's how you respond to it that matters.
Yeah.
So pressure can be a good thing. It can motivate you. It can inspire you. So if you feel as a man or a husband, for example, or if we even add that to being a father, there is the pressure to honor your wife, love her, whatever. And then there's also the pressure to take care of your kids and be accountable for your kids. But now that can be a good thing, that you're prompted to be responsible and actually do good and better, whereas you can then, you know, what's the word, cave in on that pressure, and that's when you have some men who then abandon their wife or their kids, and like, so there's
But also remember that we're when we talk about what it takes to be a man, right? We have to be making the distinction of what it takes to be a man as opposed to just what it takes to be a human being.
Yeah,
Right.
So
of course, yeah.
things like being responsible or taking care of your family or whatever are pretty much joint responsibilities.
Yeah.
Where it may be you're taking care of the family in this way and I'm doing it in that way or whatever, and whatever those ways are.
Yeah.
So the pressure of telling yourself that you have to do those things,
Right.
even in the setting of there's someone else who could be doing those things, is why a lot of men will then end up,
Because also, even in speaking, and like we had alluded to this previously, but like a lot of what I'm hearing about what it means to be a man is attached to someone else. Like it's being a good husband, being a good father, being a protector to who, being a provider to who. Like it's like attached to doing things for other people and them then considering you to be a man.
I don't
You know
think
what
that's
I mean?
a bad thing though.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Because I think that's what that's the essence of it, from what I understand as well, is just like being a man involves a lot of selflessness.
Is it?
Yeah, think about it.
More than women. You think men are more
Well,
selfish than women?
I'm not trying to create that.
No.
comparison. I'm just
So
You should tell them you're saying that.
no. I'm not trying to create like that.
But
right?
even so with the woman as well.
Yeah. Like I think so. Again, those are human being responsibilities, not necessarily things that are
limited to a man.
To men. Yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, yeah, like I think even as a person is maturing, you do feel some sense of obligation to be more and more selfless, I think, right? Considering what you're taking on, what you're growing into, how you're perceiving the world, that's then what defines you. Like, think of how someone, some people that are lauded in society as, that's such a great man. What defines that a lot of times is just how much they've given to you. Or how much they've given of themselves.
Okay, true.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if it's, she's such a brilliant woman. More often than not, it's also what she's giving of herself
Right.
that then shapes this definition or how you perceive her.
Okay, so like I want to go pivot, but go
Yeah.
further into that.
Yeah.
And I'll start with you, Dre. In terms of, is there a crisis of masculinity? So like when you're on the internet, a lot of the time people keep talking about, oh, there's this crisis of masculinity. Is there a crisis of masculinity? And if you think there is, like, what does that look like?
We won't call it like a crisis as such, but then we've got a lot to take in nowadays because of social media and a lot of stuff. People.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard now to put in how you show it. So yeah.
Wait, do you think that the way being a man used to be defined has changed?
Yeah,
Totally
totally
the way the
changed.
chat is.
Has it?
It's changed.
How so?
And now, like about pressure we're talking about, right?
Right.
You tend to see that many men are into younger girls. Why? Because I feel like what's the word I wanted to say?
Is there less pressure?
Nowadays,
Or less pressure with the young.
less pressure with the young music.
Or is it like less expectation in
Yes.
terms of be a man or whatever
Uh-huh.
that looks like from? Is there? Dennis?
I don't know. I think there's so much information that flows now. Everyone
Right.
knows kind of what should be or what you can get from any sort of situation. So I don't know if that difference. The only pressure that I feel like is a little bit different would be between dating someone who's maybe slightly older and slightly younger would be like how urgently marriage is in the question.
Oh.
Yeah, because I mean, like, and it's natural. I think regardless of gender, if you're dating someone who's slightly older, it's likely that they're closer to being in a position to do that. And that's always going to be a little bit of extra pressure. But
For y'all.
Could you repeat
no,
the
it's because
question?
you're putting the pressure tag. That's what
The question is there a crisis in masculinity? And I think like what you said, the chat is really at whether or not what the definition of being a man has changed.
Yeah, and so the way I'm seeing it is how. So let me try to paint this picture. So there's yesterday's man, right? Like so, previous generations, and then today's man, and then we can probably talk about tomorrow's man. But that disparity or that disconnect between yesterday's man and today's man, I think the changes are in responsibilities, right? Societal changes, changes in expectations as well. So even the economics that each man from yesterday and today is facing is also different.
Right.
So like yesterday's man had to carry an entire household by himself because yesterday's woman wasn't working, right? Compared to today's man who's facing a woman who is working, who's a boss lady, right?
this guy.
Sorry guys, I'm very animated. So like
No, go forth and prosper.
flourish and be great. Right? Yeah. So I'm now bringing in women to sort of complete this picture. That remember I said also the definition of a man isn't only beheld by the man himself. It's also in the hands of those who connect with the man.
Yeah.
Right? So there's woman, right? Q woman who's dealing with today's man with a reference from yesterday's man. That there's so many differences now because now like even roles are also changing, right? Yesterday's man didn't see or touch the kitchen. He just showed up from work with food ready. But now some women expect men to also be cooking or I don't know, helping with the cleaning and stuff. So now it's like, are you less of a man based on the newer roles or changed roles in the household? No, probably not. But it's just that I don't know. So I don't think you see what I'm saying. Like,
No, I see it. But then I'm also interested in the answer. Like you said, no, probably not. Dre, do you feel the same way? Are you less of a man if you're doing cooking and cleaning and XYZ?
It's kind of helping out, but then it's not that.
Oh, it's helping out.
Yeah, but it's not. You're not supposed to do it like that much. No.
Why not?
Oh, you're not.
No. Personally, I'm not gonna do that.
Wait. So the question
I'm not
was,
gonna do that.
Are you less of a man
If you do it.
if you do it?
Why won't you do that? Out of curiosity.
You see where I like
Why I'm saying that is, obviously in the marriage or in the relationship, I'm gonna be doing like most of the stuff. So
What's the stuff you speak of, Dre?
I'm gonna be like very protective. I have to like look at my kids, right?
Yep.
And then I'm the breadwinner as well. So
what if
no.
she's the breadwinner? Because women are earning more money. Yeah.
Is that like a thing that you would have?
Like, yeah, is that something you would look for? Say going into relationship, you'd want to be the breadwinner.
Yeah, I think it's much respected that way than vice versa.
Okay, see, that brings in a new facet because do you think being respected as a man is attached to your ability to provide?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah, that's not a discussion, guys.
Yeah.
What's your next question?
Wait, okay, so the converse of that is that if you're, say, a house husband and you're cooking and cleaning and your wife is the breadwinner, you feel like you won't be respected within the household.
And she'll be cheap, huh?
And what?
That took a short list. But you see what I'm saying?
Is it?
That's actually that's what I'm trying to highlight, that even trying to define a man, it's very dynamic, right? The whole process of trying to define a man, because there's so many factors involved with that. Like I said, there's the man defining what a man is. There's the people around the man who's defining him, right? And then with all of that, it's attached to roles. It's attached to responsibilities. It's attached to a sense of accountability.
Right.
And if those things aren't fixed or objective, and you even mentioned being a man in a certain space, that's also different. You're the man in your household, but if you go to the office,
You know.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
How much of being a man is defined by dominance over people?
Nah, it depends. It depends.
No, but you said it was presiding.
It's
over
it's
people,
the
right?
Yeah. So, but presiding over who? That's the
yeah.
Well, so the people can be different, guys. Like not every
Everyone,
people,
Yeah.
Oh,
Man.
Okay.
Just your
but by
household.
people meaning persons. Okay. How about
the
that?
way you work and your family, basically.
Maybe
Yeah.
church.
Maybe church.
Yeah. So
Maybe-
that also depends on the office you hold in the church.
Okay, so like in every sphere of your life, you should be able to preside. within
So
that
I would
sphere.
say at some point, if you follow a relatively particular trajectory, you will preside over someone at some point as a man, which speaks to the precedence that's part of manhood.
Dennis, you agree?
No. I mean,
fine.
so I get where you're coming from. I do get the concept of it. But I think that the difficulty is there's like a little bit of generalization. And not to
Yeah,
call
of
you
course.
out,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's you copying out of what you truly feel about this subject. And I'll tell you why I feel that way. The idea that everyone is going to preside, well, every man is going to preside over someone
Right.
is true. However, everyone
Is going to preside over someone.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make everyone a man, though.
Oh yeah, of course. No.
So that can't be
I'm
part of
not-
our definition
I'm
of
not-
what makes you a man.
This is not a what's the word that's used? It's not independent
Variable.
variable. No, like it's not the
thing.
it's not the thing, but it's a thing. I kept emphasizing that. That
It's one
part
them.
of being a man includes
being able
dominion, presidents, etc., etc. I didn't say it was the thing, because then yes, that wouldn't make sense that if a woman is now in a president's position, that she's a man. You
Or
get what-
if a woman is, because also
Or that
let's take
she's
it back
being manly,
to
yeah.
to what you had said previously, which was that no, if you are doing, say you're a house husband and you're doing most of the chores or whatever, then you're gonna be less respected according to Dennis Uningo Chichitirwa. Like, where does that? Okay, well, first things first. Do you think that people get chastised, men get chastised for adopting what are traditionally feminine traits?
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, they do.
And then the second question onto that is by whom?
Andre.
Well played. Well played. So I would say that, like, so you do get like other men slating men who pick that, right? So like, and it's usually locker room chats, right? Yeah, if at some point you're talking about what job you do, you probably meet someone new and stuff, and someone says, you know what, actually I'm a house husband, you will get roasted more. It's likely that you will get roasted than the, oh, that's so cool, how do you go about, you know what I mean? Because it's just so different. It's just a lot of dissonance in that kind of way, where we're so accustomed to the yesterday man's profile compared to today's man's profile.
Does it come more from women or from other men?
Everybody.
But also, yeah, so they
Cop
are.
out.
But it's
true,
true, right?
Twitter will show
To be
you.
fair, more women.
Yeah, Twitter will show you Shaddai as the one coming after y'all, not
But
us.
also, we can't discount that Shaddai is probably the most popular person on Twitter. So whether we agree with him or not, he's also probably the most popular opinion
And
that
clearly
exists.
there's a lot of people that agree with him for him
Hundreds
to
of
be that
thousands.
popular.
Yeah. So there's no question about that. But I think the idea, the fact that it's mostly women, or not mostly, but I think it's more women than men that would chastise you about that, and
wish there was
also
stats for
your
this.
women as well. More often than not, like it'll be like,
doubt that would be your woman, though.
oh no,
Yeah.
it will.
Can I
for
say
sure.
why? Can I say
Yeah.
why? Considering that you are gathered in agreement and alignment, she's definitely on your team.
Right? And
It's
she
only
knows
her
the
relatives.
goals
Yeah,
of like
it's
the,
only perhaps
the,
her
the
relatives
family
or friends
whatever.
or other strangers that will be. But I would presume that, guys, if I speak to my wife and like, yo, fam, listen, this is what needs to be done in our household. If you're covering that, I'm covering that. We agreeing, we're dandy. It's
Yeah.
only the social pressures outside our home.
The
This is a
people
theoretical
outside.
conversation.
I'm telling you.
Because there's no place where you're going to sit around the table and decide that, oh, okay, So you go to work and I stay
Why
here and do
not?
First of all, Dennis, Cap, because when was it? It's very interesting because I tend to remember a lot of things that people say, particularly when they're on my channel. The year was, I think, like Nana 2017 or whatever. I'll probably put a snippet.
I've been on the show too long.
Where Dennis, with his full chest, said that for someone to then become a house husband is because the things you're doing are probably not that great. So, for example, and we actually spoke about Serena Williams. For example, if Serena Williams and what she's doing is greater than what Alex is doing, as a household, you're going to come together and be like, you know what I'm doing is not as great as what you're doing. Go forth and prosper.
Flourish.
Now, suddenly, today, I mean, I allow growth. You know what I mean? You're allowed to grow.
2017, bro.
No,
Should I change it?
No, not that change. And do you know what? And this is, in fact, I remember this. What I said was at the time that whoever's staying at home, whatever they're doing,
Is not that
is
great.
not as critical or is not that deep. And and if it was, you'd go to work. That it's as simple as that. Whether you're a house husband, housewife, house lady, whatever, you are going to go to work. Because how, even in the example that you gave, where you're like, we're gonna sit down and like, you covered this, you covered that, right? The decision that you made there was, okay, this is how we can get as much money and still have the comfort that we need in our home, right? So you looked at what she was doing, then looked at what you were doing, and you're like, who can get us more money? Because everyone can take care of the home, right? Or I mean, everyone can try. Maybe not as well as each other.
Well,
but
everyone should be able to take care
of the home, right? So the variable there is who can make money. So we're going to decide that, oh, okay, this is the person that can go and earn that, and then we're gonna go and double down on that, and then you can play golf.
This is
Play golf.
But this is the presumption that money is king in this, right?
It is.
It is though.
I beg to differ.
No, like it's the presumption,
No,
but also money is.
Can I say why?
You're wrong.
No, I just want to highlight that it is possible that someone can aspire from day one to be a housewife, whether they earn money or not.
Yeah.
Because they don't get chastised by it.
Wait, but also someone can also aspire to be a house husband and not earn money, and that's fine for them because that's what they value, right?
Yeah.
I know it's in the clouds and it's airy fairy, but it's a possibility.
It's not in the
Right.
clouds, it's in the hippie community. that's where the behavior is.
No, but then also consider this as well. Like, I gave this as an example on a live once upon a time. That there's a thing where, for some people as well, it's perhaps not so much that you have the prospects of making the most money, but you have better prospects of making money at all.
Right.
Even though it's not the most. Then it's like also, if I'm the husband and I have better prospects of running the household better than you, even though you're the woman,
Yeah.
then let each person do the role better. I hope I'm not switching the
No, you're not.
conversation.
No, that
And
actually
it's-
makes sense.
And
Yeah.
it's
However, the problem is, it makes sense theoretically,
Yes.
because it's in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why it's not practical in real life is it's not always just a purely logical decision. Like, oh yeah, you do that, you go do, and I stay at home.
yeah.
There are a lot of
The
other issues.
societal
The society,
pressures.
which
And-
also leads to the mental health of being at home during that period.
And then your own feelings in terms of how because you either feel not respected or you start not respecting yourself because your attachment of being a man is connected to being able to provide, and once that's taken away from you, then it's like, but who am I?
It's actually funny because, even in the context of relationships, right? You could be planning a trip. Like, let's say, which has happened to me, is like I'm planning a trip to go somewhere with someone, right? And generally, she's gonna have more of a say on what we do, where we stay, when we go, etc. Right? And I have no problem ceding the responsibility of doing that to you. But I've always imagined that if in the same context, if we were organizing the same trip, right, and she was paying the bills, and she then decided that she was also making the decisions, would it not then feel like I'm being undermined because I'm not contributing?
Right.
Because I don't even think about it a second when I'm contributing or paying, because it's like, oh yeah, whatever, man.
Like expected.
Yeah. Like,
because also there's a thing to, okay, how would you feel? It's not even where I was going to go with this conversation, but we're here now.
Yeah.
How would you feel, say you are earning a certain amount and the person that you're with earns considerably more, right? And then you're going on holiday, but you're saying, I'm taking you on holiday and this is the budget. And then that person is like, no, it's okay. You earn a budget, because what we could be doing is X, Y, Z. Like, does that change? Because in my experience, not my experience, through other people, because y'all know I'm broke, but like through other people, it's been a thing of like, I feel emasculated because what my cap is in terms of level of provision should be the cap. Once you then want to say, oh, but I can then do the providing of this, and then let's have a better holiday altogether. Maybe I'm not doing it out of malice, but then it makes one feel undermined.
So I know this is probably easier said than done, but it's always the way I've viewed it, right? So I'm not married, I'm not in a relationship or anything, but like the way I would like it to be would be that if we're in our household, there's our basket, the household basket.
Right.
It's great if both of us are contributing to that basket, right? It's probably ideal if I'm contributing to that basket from a provision man provides thing. But also for me, it's like the basket is the basket, and so if we have more, great.
Right.
So to me, it's like whoever's putting into that basket, it doesn't matter as long as there's money in that basket. Right?
I hear that. I agree with it, but I think we're speaking like of a minority. Like particularly in this jurisdiction. Like say in Zim. Do you think a lot of Zim men are like, whatever's in the basket, that's what's in the basket?
No. And so I'm speaking ideally, of course, and for me personally. So like, and so like, yeah, if there's such a case where I'm saying let's go to, okay, I don't want to mention places in case I insult anyone, but yes, let's say there's a place
Dubai.
There's a place that I'm planning for us to go with the money that I can afford, and then she says let's do better, guys. I'm not going to be, I'll be chuffed, like, great, let's go. So I'm not gonna feel some type of way about being undermined. It's like, oh, great for me that we're doing something better. Obviously it's unfortunate that I don't earn as much or whatever, but it's not something that I would be like, it might like, can I say what's actually trippy for me is how it's ridiculous actually that some men will then like douse this fire feeling intimidated, in fact we're not going anywhere anymore. Or something crazy like that. Because they feel like my plan was great, but you want to out me, which is... But,
no, I hear you in theory, but then where do you draw the line? If being a man is protector, provider, and then you realize within the situation that you can't provide, then are you still attached to that as it being your definition?
So I can still be a man. The thing is, because provider, it sometimes frustrates me actually, that when people say provide, that it's only provide money. You can provide so many other things.
Good vibes.
Cuddles.
Like you can provide support, you can provide insight, you can provide counsel. I mean, what I understand about marriage, for example, is that marriage is a consecration. There's so much consecration in marriage. So as a man, you should provide guidance and wisdom, like...
I mean, I hear that, and I understand it in theory. However, in terms of what you're saying, women are also providers. Then
they can provide.
I hear that, but then the definition is the definition.
No,
because what we're not gonna do is Twitter our way into a new definition. When people were saying provide, they weren't saying emotional support because that's a traditionally woman thing to do, and no one was like, being a woman is being a provider, but just emotional.
It was left to presumption. It was left to presumption.
People come into your home and rob you and like beat up your wife, and you're like, I was providing prayers to protect you.
I was protecting our feelings during that time.
Let's not be ridiculous about it.
I actually think could be like,
sorry, you came to the wrong
I can
place.
see in Shona like I don't go do a room so
Jure they
Is what that mean?
No, Dre, cook, bro.
Hey, just the woman controlling the house is not a way to go.
Why not?
Why not?
Panongo, like Zunetika, Muruma nongo diwa, kuti he has to be like overprotective about that. It's different when a woman does that. She's gonna do that not the same way you're gonna do it. She's gonna do it like I'm turning right, and then she's going to lift.
Wait,
You guys.
What do you make of matriarchs? What do you make of countries or regions where women are the ones wear the pants? Like what must happen there?
I'm a good feeling feminist.
No. I'm just trying to sort of rebut your point. Like, what must happen? Are the men there less of men because the woman is in charge?
But I guess
like companies would see women CEOs.
I guess I'm taking it from my perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I support more the older way than the new way.
Yeah.
No, I everyone is allowed to think what they think, and actually we encourage it. But I want to understand when you say "panungodiwa murume," like what is that?
Yeah.
Like what is it that's qualifying
That's
you to be like the leader of the household, to be like that ingredient? Like what is that?
I guess I'll say, Kuti, you see, Inini have a person, I'm not gonna say the name on a TV show.
Gertrude, shout out to you. Getty.
Guys, I don't know the Nyasha.
So, it's different when a woman does more than the men. That's actually that's something I won't allow in my house. I will actually want to work more on achieving more.
What if it doesn't
yes,
work?
you're gonna put something in the bucket, right? In the basket, sorry. But I have to put more into that basket. Yes, you're gonna contribute. Yeah, I appreciate that. But I have to be like the breadwinner.
Manage Kataza, then what? Will you leave her?
Aiwa,
Because you're making too much money.
It happens.
Stop CEOing.
You can lose your job.
You leave.
No, you're gonna lose your job or and then
And I did it the same.
Then
That's
what
what I
so are you less of a man when that happens?
No, you're not less of a man. Obviously, you're gonna work towards that. Now you know, Kuti, this is our way.
Guys, can I tell you something that's quite fascinating? It's still discombobulating. Jesus' ministry was funded by women. Did you know that?
No.
Is that a fact, or is this
It's
Alex
a fact.
Jones' podcast now?
No, so I just want to highlight to you that it's I don't know, it's not black and white. I would say.
No, explain that Jesus thing.
No, as in everything, all the traveling they did, all the food they ate, everything. Jesus had female blessers. Actually,
What verse is that in?
so if you do there's this other who are the names of one of the names of the woman is Joanna. I can't remember where it is exactly.
Not even Mary Magdalene.
No.
She did not.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, no, but also the woman who sacrificed the oil. That oil was worth, I think, 10 months worth of salary. No, she had sheep.
So she was funding the ministry.
Well, no, I mean, if she could afford to give that as an offering, which means she had more. Yeah.
So we think.
No,
but
no,
then
but
also it's like
what
you're
we started
giving
this
it,
statement
right?
Jesus had female blessing. If that's not how this video started, I don't know how.
Well, I guess you'll find out on Dennis's channel if he ever drops a video.
The point of my statement is this: the whole provision thing, and I'm still just trying to figure it out and whatever. Is that it's not the be all and end all, as limited to or attached to men.
Okay, so if presiding is not the be all and end all, and if provision is not the be all and end all, and protecting is not like, so why is it so that, like, what is it?
Why is it a big deal?
When people are saying,
we didn't let Andre really tell us for real. You guys kept like cutting him off, but Andre,
No, I was actually like,
sorry. Welcome back to my channel. Here's the thing, right? I get you. I understand the concept of what you feel like it takes to be a man, right? And I don't think these people understand you the way I get you.
excuse us,
He's subordinate.
With subscribers and stuff. But listen, you know when you say like be a man, like when you started to explain it, what I got from it was you're in your house, someone jumps over the gate and they're coming at your home. Whether you're going to get defeated by that person or not, it's your responsibility to do it. Whether you're not there and your wife is in a better position because she's got a gun in the corner, it was still your responsibility and she did it. Yeah. So even in the context of provision, people lose their jobs, economies do whatever they do, circumstances change, right? But I think what being a man is what you're trying to explain. Being a man would be expecting that to be your responsibility. Whether you end up being able to execute it or not is a completely different thing, but it was your responsibility. Okay. And I think that's what's critical, right? So even if you're living in a house, and now I'm going back to explain what Andre was saying, right?
I love how Dennis is mansplaining to a man what being a man is. As you were.
But like, if you're in a home where it's like, oh yeah, the wife is the one that cooks.
Right.
Bro, she's tired today. She's not going to cook, and you're going to cook. Nothing changes. But was it someone's responsibility, right? So everyone can have responsibilities, but I think the concept of then being in a relationship is like we all help each other.
yeah.
But everyone has responsibilities, and the responsibilities that make you a man are around provision, financially, protection.
Only.
Bro, like
I'm just asking.
no, yeah, financially, protection,
Physically?
okay, and professing verbally.
Okay.
But I think
Okay, that's according to you, and that's fine.
I have a question. Andre, in the club, would you order a cocktail?
brilliant question.
I'm interested.
Would I order a cocktail?
A strawberry daiquiri. This is specific.
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
Because it's not manly.
Yes, it's not many.
You see now.
Okay. Would you drive a Nissan March?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Compared to a Honda
A pink
Fit.
one.
Yeah, I would. It's a car.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any, like, you wear pink? No. Why not?
Because it's not manly.
No, it is actually. It's colors. It's just colors. I actually have a pink T-shirt. I'm not saying it's not manly, but too pinkish and too dollish is not manly.
Okay. Are you averse to, like, I don't know, piercings? Say, like, tongue ring, a nose ring?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah?
On you.
No, not on me. But in general, it's okay.
No, you personally. Or do you just
not
not
on
like
me.
piercings
No,
in general?
not on me,
Not
yeah.
because it's not manly.
Yeah.
My question here being, there's certain things within society that have been like, that's not manly. For example, I think we were driving back from Capitol the one time, and I said, if my husband drove a Range Rover Evoque, I probably wouldn't have spoken to him. Because to me,
It's not a manly
where's the
car.
sport? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Evoque is more...
Yeah. No.
Because to me, that's not manly, bro. And there's like a list of things. There's even an ongoing joke on Twitter with like a list of things where it's like denim jackets. If it's cropped, that's not manly. You know what I mean?
You're a man.
What drink are you drinking? There was what's it called?
That's so
There was
hippie.
someone on social media, this guy at Jamtree, where I think he's having a good time. He's pop locking and dropping a Jamtree, and all the comments were like, "Not my man,"
Yeah. Like
because that's not manly.
if he was twerking.
So it's like, first of all, I understand in theory that yes, it shouldn't matter all those things in terms of what it means to be a man. But I feel like we're not addressing the societal expectations and what it means to be a man in society.
And that can be beyond your control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, how much do you conform? So do you wait for society to tell you what's manly and what's not manly and then behave in that way? Dennis.
So Andre, you have like you have a really dope hairstyle, right? Which a couple of years ago would probably not have been considered like, not years ago, maybe like 2 decades ago. People would be like,
that's not manly.
That's not manly, right?
Right.
And you're probably the manliest man here. So at what point did it feel like, you know what? We can bring the lines in now. Because, like, I feel like that's the process, right? Like, things that were previously...
Oh, yeah, like, what happened for you to feel like that's an okay hairstyle now?
Because I feel like as the hair grows, the earrings will come in and then...
Right? But not even just as the hair grows, but as time goes on. So, for example, you now have a lot more kind of what's it called? I don't want to say cross-dressing. What's the word? Where it's like, it can be for his and hers.
Intersex.
Yeah, like, I think so. Like, you can dress in certain ways that are ambiguous. Unisex, that's the one. And it's like, the more that happens for a longer period of time, that's going to be acceptable. And then it's not a matter of like, oh, it's not manly. Like, we're already transitioning into that not being seen as like a not manly thing to do. So it's like, society is always going to be changing. And then do you wait until society is like, okay, my blouse are blue, so now I can do that and still not be questioned in terms of whether I'm manly or not?
Alright, firstly, I did this like because I actually wanted my hair to grow a little bit faster. You know? Because I've like I actually trimmed my hair. So what as Dennis was saying, he probably thinks when just my earrings. Hell no, I'm not that. Because he was saying the how when the hair drops, the earring comes. So and then I beg to differ. Yes, actually, I guess nowadays what actually changed, not nowadays, but it's been like that. What actually people say, a guy that gets like braids or something, they call it gay.
They do.
You don't know it?
No.
In some spaces.
I didn't think they were still doing
No,
that.
I'm not.
I'm referring to the video. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They call it geish.
Right.
But I didn't do that. I actually don't like getting my hair plaited. You see. And then at a stage, I actually wanted to get my ears pierced. So it was just my decision.
Like a preference.
Yeah. Should I go that?
But then in general, like in life in general, because you even said you don't want to drink cocktails. Like in life in general, do you wait until something is said to be okay for a man to do before you do it?
Guys, brutal food slaps.
Because like ciders, only recently do men drink ciders. But like that was a man. Men were supposed to drink beer and whiskey on the rocks.
What about me who doesn't drink at all? And I've had people look at me weird, like, bro.
That's not manly?
Yeah. Because I don't drink.
Actually, yeah.
That's very toxic.
That is
I'm
very
sorry,
toxic. People talk about toxic masculinity. Do you believe that to be a thing? And if so, what is it? I'll start with you, Godfrey. Is toxic masculinity a thing?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
So before we get to the toxic masculinity, then I guess we're going to talk about masculinity first, right?
Well, we have been.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So, well, we have actually, my bad. Yo, like brain fart. Yeah, so masculinity can be toxic.
See how people set you up? Dennis was awesome as the manliest man here. It really be.
No, so yeah, masculinity can be toxic for sure. Like, yeah, if you like too much of anything can be a bad thing.
Right? What's too much?
It's very relative, but I think if you're now abusive,
Yeah.
That's too much.
No. I think like you can.
Is that a natural progression of masculinity?
No. I think masculinity can be tempered, it can be managed, it can be healthy, right? But if it just becomes overbearing, unnecessary, if there's a disconnect between how it's enacted and how it's received. Right?
How do you decipher all those things?
I think it's only done in retrospect.
Right? Because
yeah.
where do you draw the line? Say, for example, as the protector, provider within my family, and then if my wife or someone is not being submissive to the things that I'm saying as the protector, provider, how do I communicate it in such a way that I remain being the leader, but I'm not being toxic, but then like it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
where do you...
I think they're moving parts, right? So think of like if it's being protective, right? Where now if as the man I feel this obligation to be protective, I can do certain things that may be deemed overprotective, right? Where now I'm being toxic, where, for example, it's just unreasonable why I would say no to certain things, right? Where it's like, I feel like your whole masculine energy is really toxic right now, right?
Who decides that?
No, so it's I would say the beholder decides that I know you're trying to be masculine, but it's toxic now. So I'm saying it to someone else as the person receiving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whereas the person enacting or giving this masculine energy may not actually connect with their toxicity. They might be oblivious to it. You know, like I said, I'm in my mind, I'm trying to be protective. Right. So now, if, for example, as a father, and I have a daughter, and I know this is a very practical example to a lot of people. As a father, I have a daughter. Certain things can turn out to be so ridiculous and toxic and very regressive. But to me, I'm just being protective. I'm just being protective of my daughter. I know that there's scavengers and sharks out there, right? But to her, she can perceive that, my dad is toxic. He's overbearing. He's this, he's that. So, unfortunately, sometimes there's that disparity.
I mean, I can understand that in terms of personal relationships, and if you were a person who is completely immune to society and only judges every interaction in terms of a personal relationship with someone, which is no one, because ultimately, I think there is a base that's being set in terms of what is now toxic and what's not toxic. And I'm not sure I understand what has informed that basis, like what's toxic and what's not. And which is why I would want to understand. So, for example, Dennis, do you think that, like, what's toxic masculinity from your perspective?
I just want to say that was such a good take, and I'd never thought of it that way, so I'm going to kind of build on it. I'm not going to pretend this is a completely original take. But I think when your actions start being a negative on other people or yourself. So, for instance, I think masculinity is essentially the protection or provision or whatever.
Right.
But if your need to protect is going to put you in harm's way, that's toxic masculinity. If your need to provide or failure to do that is going to define who you are and like send you into a depression or whatever, that's toxic masculinity. And that's on you harming yourself, right? But also in harming others. So if I am with my girlfriend or wife or whatever, and my protection of her is that she not be harmed by other people, that's masculinity, right? But if my protection of her
makes her insecure, makes her like
not feel safe
scared,
or empowered or
empowered,
disempowered,
I don't feel like I can tell, I can speak my mind or whatever.
Right.
Then there's some toxicity to that, and I think it's such a great way of putting it together. So
teamwork, you agree?
LeBron.
This time I do.
So if you like a strawberry daiquiri, for example, and you don't drink it because you feel like it's going to make you seem like you're less of a man, that's toxic. You know what I mean?
No.
It can be toxic in that a strawberry daiquiri can be a really nice drink. So you're deprived. So you may end up depriving yourself of this gratification from getting a really nice drink because of your masculinity.
That's toxic.
Yeah. That's toxic. I think that's toxic.
But then there's obviously we all know the alpha, beta.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say discourse. I was going to say battle, but let's say discourse. And the question that I'll ask from that is, are beta males dangerous to
Society.
Oh, what?
I wasn't going to go that far. I was just going to say, are beta males dangerous to masculinity? So, for example, do they encourage the narrative of like toxic women, or like the narrative of like feminism at the utmost? It's like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, and this, I love that. So here's the thing, right? There was a balance that we had as a society before, where, like we're saying, men were expected to provide, protect, and do this, and women were expected to do one, two,
To
three,
nurture.
whatever their responsibilities were. And that society, in as much as it may not have been balanced, in as much as it may not have been ideal, it was balanced, right? So the women knew that they were protected, provided for, etc., and the men knew that they'll be nurtured, etc., at home. But as you shift, right? So just imagine these as actual responsibilities that everyone has. When someone puts down their responsibility, like, you know what? This responsibility to provide is actually not my responsibility. And they stay with whatever responsibilities they have. The next, unless someone picks that responsibility up, no one's going to do anything, right? And which is what, and like I'm a feminist, and I genuinely believe that part of how that dynamic has shifted over time is as men, or beta males, as you want to, as you're calling them, right, have decided that they want to like cede some of that responsibility. Women have picked it up in certain spaces, and then, you know, so like now women are working. So if we can continue to like shift it and maintain balance over time, then it won't affect society. But there is a danger of possibly getting to a point where we're like, okay, I'm going to put this responsibility down to provide,
but no one picks it up.
But no one picks it up, and now you have a society where no one's providing. And the people that suffer from that are not essentially the two of you in that relationship. It's most likely going to be the kids.
Children.
And there's so many other things that happen with like kids that grow up. Like, you're more susceptible to end up doing drugs if you grow up in a poor household. You're more, you know, like, you're just more likely to end up doing or participating in antisocial behavior. So there is like a real detriment that can be faced by people not being sure about what their responsibilities are. If as a society we all decide that everyone's going to do equally the same, great. But then we have to be sure. Like, it can't be a confusion between no, be a man today, and no, you don't have to be a man tomorrow. Like, whatever we decide that we're going to do as a society, we have to do that, and it's going to work.
Question, just so I'm clear.
Good take, Dennis.
Thank you, man. I tried.
Please sort of help me distinguish between the alpha male and beta male thing, just so I'm sure of what you're actually talking about.
I would ask you.
No, just, I mean,
I am better woman in this situation.
It's the traditional man,
yes.
The guy who's going to protect
butch, macho.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't even have to be all that, but you're just a person that feels like this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
As opposed
I'd
to
say the protector, the
feminist.
provider, the dominant, what's traditionally seen as being masculine, and the man, that's the alpha male, and like the one like anditi square and chinu kind of, that's what I think. And then like the beta male is the one that is more compromising in their ideals, and like if you want to lead, then you lead, and like, you know,
like the
if
laissez-faire kind of
like if
guy.
we're gonna share responsibility,
I just
we share responsibility.
Just so as we continue the conversation, I'm versed. Okay.
But like, I'm not the one that's making.
No.
I'm just saying.
I'm just.
I'm a woman in men's business.
Women's planning.
Okay. No. That's cool. Thank you for that. Yeah.
So like from that, I'd want to ask the question: are men inherently violent?
No.
I don't think so.
No. So why are most violent crimes committed by men?
These stats for that.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So here's the thing, right? There's part of it is socialization. Like, we're consistently told that, again, you have to protect, you have to provide. So you have to be manly to be able to do those things, right? Because I have to protect you physically. So then that becomes like a thing that you
outlet
grow up
for
with.
it.
Yeah. So that's one half of it. The second half of it is there's no disputing that there is a strength, like purely a strength dynamic between men and women. So I believe that if women, especially in this society that we live in now, could beat up men would be getting beaten up all the time. The only reason why that's not happening is because of the actual strength dynamic where, like, Tash is mad at me, but she's not going to hit me. Right?
Well, yes and no, because it's not just violent crimes in terms of, like, physical combat, like even gun crimes, like even just violent crimes in general, even serial killers, most of them are men. Like, why is it that most violence is
I think it's really down
males.
to ability. They are the ones who can do that, right? So like whether it's rape that you're talking about, I mean people talk about like men getting raped and it's like, yeah, okay, cool, but like it's not that deep an issue because it's so hard for it to happen because there's like a physical thing that needs to happen, right? And even when you talk about like gun crime, like guys are literally growing up with guns from day one.
Like toy guns.
Yeah, they're toy guns, but from day one you're putting in those funny pellets and shooting at stuff. And I've been to a gun range with women, and we could be shooting guns for the first time together. There's just like it very often, like Tash could go to a gun range with Jabu, and if I had to put money on someone being better at shooting at stuff, I'm putting my money on Jabu.
Yeah.
And I may be wrong.
And this is
it's just like
what's the word?
So I think because
Anatomy
of that,
thing.
if Tash decided she wanted to be a serial killer, it'd be so hard for her, right? Because now
I have to poison
and
people?
Like less physical stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like, where does the testosterone conversation come in then? Because even when it comes like outside of your ability to do it from a strength perspective, like the more when people say if you have a hormonal imbalance or you have too much testosterone, you're more likely to become more angry and like have more nigger moments and then be more susceptible to violent crime. So how can it be that it's more so about your physicality, but then if there's a biological aspect to it, like, yes, then men are inherently violent. You know what I mean?
I would say there's also an upbringing aspect to it. There's a socialization, indoctrination, teaching, raising aspect to it. So, and I've expressed concerns on my social media once upon a time on how the difference between how boys are raised compared to girls. So like if boys are roughing each other and playing wrestling and whatever, everyone kind of just lets them be. That's what boys do.
Yeah.
But if girls are doing, it's like, no, girls don't do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's like this what is normalized from the infancy of each person, that if it's the rough, tough, macho kind of thing, yeah, it's okay if a male is doing it, boy, right, is doing it, not so much a woman. So even that kind of feeds into forms of expression when it comes to then emotions, thoughts, or intentions. When it like if you're angry, if you're frustrated, you are more inclined
to act in the way
that you've been conditioned to. Yeah. So yeah, like and lastly, then it's like, and I've seen even with from now women and men's group aspect, that when it comes to your feelings of despair or disappointment and whatever, women are a lot more, they're more proactive in expressing it verbally or even through written form than for men, because men, we just haven't been taught that way. That like even if it's things like crying, which is a very healthy thing, by the way, we just know boys don't cry. So now you've got all this rage and you don't know what to do with it. You lose it, and then you find the nearest wall or face, and you just punch the life out of it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just this, it's a dysfunction.
So how would you, like, how much do you, because from what I'm hearing, it's probably maybe like a 95% split between like hormonal and societal. Yeah, that's my question. Like, how much is it you know,
What are you doing?
nature versus nurture.
I'm disagreeing on the percentages. I think it's so much closer to maybe like almost 50-50, but maybe like 60-40 or whatever.
70-30, I would say.
Which is, and that's specifically around the idea of like the testosterone that you have. We did a like a module called psychometrics in uni, and part of that module had to do with that in terms of personality building. Where like what percentages, and I don't remember these things properly, but part of it was your environment, which is like the societal, and part of it is actually just genetic. Some people are just inherently more violent. So like you have like what are you gonna do, but like that part of it is there, and then that's what you probably need therapy for. So you need the other part of the societal part
to
of
manage
it to manage what your natural genetics would be.
Okay. And then do you think that, and I'll start with you, Dre, do you think that there's such a thing as toxic femininity?
I actually don't. I just think it's just
Sorry.
I guess it's just the term like overprotective is just being like masculinity, like being overprotective as a phase way, that's not right. You should be protective but not over. Too much of anything is bad.
No, but not from a masculine perspective. Like for women, do you think there's such a thing as toxic femininity?
No.
So feminists cannot be toxic.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of.
Interesting.
We move!
Toxic femininity is definitely
what's the noun for, like, you know, they're feminists. What's masculinist? I don't know what are the
yes.
but
anyway.
Right. So if I'm understanding your question, you're asking, can feminists be toxic?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, yeah, they can. Yeah. So
but it's
now you're changing your answer.
Yeah, it can, but it's not that much as
well, that's relative. Yeah, but the question is, yes, femininity can be toxic.
Yeah.
But then I think, because in hearing you rephrase it, then I'm like, maybe that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because it's not where the feminists can be toxic, but where the
women.
femininity can be toxic. So, for
Yeah,
example,
I get
the things that are
or
intrinsically supposed to make you feminine, or like you're nurturing, you're caring, you're whatever, the things that traditionally would make you feminine, can those be toxically feminine?
I think femininity can. Think of the moments where your feminine energy can compel you to be very compassionate and kind and sweet and whatever, but then you end up perhaps overlooking correction or corrective action. So like, for example, if a kid is being a spoiled brat, right?
Oh, okay.
You should check that. You should manage that. But if you're overly feminine, it's like, oh no, it's just being a child. Like, no, this child needs to be like.
Did you make a hand action? Did I see a hand action there? Is that what I saw? Just making sure.
That was like reflex. I don't even lie. But I'm trying to be what's the word? Politically correct. But yeah, no, as for me, guys, but yeah, like, I think that can be a bad thing if where correction is needed, and your feminine energy is more inclined to then be overly compassionate and etc.
Yeah.
Then I think that's bad. I don't think it's progressive.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason why people always looked at it as like a yin and yang situation, because it's supposed to be a balancing act. And like what you had said previously, too much of anything is going to be problematic and will be toxic in its own way. But like, as we close this off, I think the one question that I would want to ask is probably a bit of a loaded question. But I'll start with Andre. Do you think that someone can be a single mother and teach masculinity?
Ooh. Wow.
Yes, it's possible, but it's I would say like 70% of 30. It's possible, but there's some actions where a man needs to be in that situation to teach that boy. Like, I'll give you my perspective. Like, I'm the only boy, 3 girls, 1 boy. My dad actually started teaching me how to run the house when I was only 14. You see, because he says, when I die, I know your mother's not gonna teach you the same way as I do. You see.
Okay. And yourself, Godfrey?
Is it possible?
Like, can a single mother teach masculinity?
She can, theoretically, or like she can speak certain things and sort of guide and direct certain things. But if it's the action part of it, the actuality, there are limitations. So she can, but there are limitations.
What are the limitations from your perspective?
I think when you start trading lines of womansplaining, mansplaining kind of things, like it's always going to be better to have a direct example from a man when certain things are being said by women. That would just be more effective. So, for example,
bro. Yeah.
So if you like, I'm not. Let's say I'm not an astronaut, right?
You're even coming closer. I mean, come on.
Gee,
Come join us.
Come. If you just shut up, you can just sit shut. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I'm not an astronaut, right? But I do know stuff about astronomy. So I can say certain things about it, but it'll be probably more, better received from an astronaut.
Yes.
I think, just as an example. So, a woman knows a lot about men because she's lived with men, she's interacted with men. She can know a lot about fatherhood, she can know a lot about being a husband, right? But she's not a husband, she's not a father. Yeah. So when it now comes to manhood, she can know a lot about men, as I said, but a man will actually teach more effectively about being a man because he is a man. So it's not the only, obviously it's not the be all and end all, but it's more effective. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Dennis?
Man, I've really enjoyed both your takes, and I think there's so much validity to them. I have a different one, and for context, my mom is a So I know this may be a little bit of bias. However, you know, the idea of growing up with, growing up with my mom, right, was you may not get this is how men behave. And I mean, to be fair, I did have that because my dad was there. But from just strictly from my mom, what you get there is what she expects.
Yes.
Oh.
So what she's gonna,
I get
what she's gonna tell you is,
that's so good.
You know, this is how you should be to your wife, right? Because whether she didn't get that or whatever, but like
there's merit to it.
There's a lot of merit to.
So it's possible, like, you get the gold standard of teaching.
I genuinely believe that. Like, my mom's so interesting because she will be.
Bruh, I'm about to lock you up for real.
But yeah, you really get someone who almost gives you both sides of that conversation in ways that, you know, or is more interested in it. And my dad would have given me a lot of teaching as well and a lot of, you know, information. But what he's teaching me is essentially how to be like him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And which may not always be the best version of masculinity. Whereas when you're getting it from your mother, you're getting an almost utopian view of what a man should be, because that's what she would have expected. So I feel like you get a better understanding of what, especially in the context of women, of what women would expect in the form of masculinity. And that's always more balanced because they're going to tell you about when it's important to be emotional and when it's important to understand people's emotions, but also at the same time giving you the
we need dominance.
Not
even dominance, but like leadership.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if you are this way, then you won't have to ask for this. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I really do think you get a really good balanced view. And if you
Which I
don't
guess
believe
is
me, go
why-
ask my ex-girlfriend.
Both. But balance.
But I guess that's why
Both need to be
it's important to have like a both house
Yeah.
like a 2-parent household
Yeah.
because you get the masculinity aspect, but then you can also understand the soft skills of navigating and how to impart it in ways that are non-threatening and not toxic. But anyways, as we go forward, first of all, thank you guys for being on my channel, and thank you guys for watching. And maybe we'll see you next week. Maybe we won't. I don't know. It's vibes.
Vibes, bro.
This is vibes, bro.
No, the cameraman on your bed, but thanks on this thing.
Oh yeah.
Like it's wild.
So we'd like to take this time out to thank Tachenda and Gondo who are here behind the camera.
Thank you to the cameraman.
Shout ups.
They call me